Do you hate being a celebrity figure? Do you think you're a celebrity figure? Do you hate that lifestyle?
Do I hate being a celebrity? First of all, I've had a few students and a few people in the area where I was at in Zimbabwe and in Malawi. They would come up to me, ask me for autographs. Hey, can I, one of the sweetest students that I've ever had, she came up to me respectfully and said, may I have your autograph? And I said, of course, sweetie. And there were other people that was like, look, I want your autograph and stuff like that. And I'm honored. I found out that my autograph is worth what, like over there in Africa, I don't know how much it is over here, but from what I was told, I think globally it's worth like what, $40, $50. And, there's times where I be broke and I can't even sell my own. I can't sell my own autograph, right? I know it's from what I've been told by other well-known people, it's illegal. And another thing is too, it's one of those things to where you lose value when you do that. So yeah, there are people who they can get rich off of, having some things that I used to own or whatever, or, doing work with me. And it was shown, like what I was saying about in Africa, like there have been people who have gotten jobs who I know or who have done certain things because like, hey, you collaborate with Reggie Haynes? And it's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, show me evidence. And then they show evidence and now they got a better job than I'll ever get. Kind of stuff is this, right? But all in all, if I can help my people in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and hopefully they're helping their communities, whether I'm getting a piece of that pie or not, I'm just glad that they're helping out our people. I know it sounds like, Reggie, you slaving yourself, but trust and believe, I know for a fact that my worth is definitely going to continue to lead me to have the best life that I can, possibly ever have, economically speaking, spiritually speaking, emotionally speaking, and in every way, So do I hate being a celebrity? I would say I don't look at myself that way. There's people who don't know who I am, and I'm fine. I am fine with that. When I go to Africa, when I go to different places, I don't want people to know who I am. I love staying to myself. But when people find out, oh man, it's a whole different story. And I just try my best to stay away and just stay respectful to myself, man. But yeah, and another thing is too, when you got this target on your back and people know the work that you've done and the work that you're still doing, they're going to do everything in their power, like I said earlier, to try to control you negatively. And I refuse to be a part of any of that. So yeah, the best way for me to move forward is to never look at myself as a celebrity, but know my worth and know that if I'm bringing this work to the table, I will be respected in every way, shape, form, or fashion. And that's where contracts and all of those things come into play. So yeah, that's my take on that one.
Why do you think people scam overseas?
People scam overseas because I look at it, you go to different hoods, you go to different communities, and the community looks like dirt. It looks like crap because the people within the community, they don't want to clean it up. Not being clean is a sign of depression. Not being clean and taking in or allowing toxins to pile up within your life in any facet of your life is a sure sign of depression. So with a lot of these people, and it's crazy, a lot of people always come to me and they want to quote Bible scriptures and everything. I could have sworn that there's a scripture called cleanliness is next to godliness, right? So why is it that majority of the people who I see who's a part of the African community, they're not clean? Everything is dirty. Everything is filthy. And it's because they're depressed and they don't want to admit it. And a lot of these people want to scam their way out of that community so they can live in a better one, but it's never going to work out that way. Every now and again, you have people who scam and then they become rich or whatever, but they're the loneliest of the lonely because you might get this big house. You might throw a lot of nice parties, but when you're alone, do you know what's going to happen then? Those walls are going to start to talk. And they're going to start showing you that all that scamming that you were doing, all that energy that you were putting into scamming, you could have put all that energy into bettering your community, bettering your people, bettering yourself, bettering your life. And you chose not to. That's why when a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm trying to make it out. I'm trying to make it out. Why are you trying to make it out of a community that you can be in full control of in a positive way and uplifted? I would rather uplift something that I have created rather than stepping away and joining something that someone else has created. You know what I'm saying? And I failed many a times in that, but I'm glad that I'm at that phase of my life now to where I refuse to go down that route again. So for all the people that scam, it's not just people scamming overseas, it's globally. And the reason I feel like they scam is because they put so much effort into trying to take advantage of their own or people that they feel like they can just to make a quick buck. And hopefully that all of these quick bucks can lead them to a quote unquote better life, which it never ends up that way. Trust and believe. I've talked to a lot of scammers, a lot of people who made it out their communities. And, you know, I'm guaranteeing that they wish that if they can do it all over again, they would use all that energy, all those resources to build their community up. And along with pushing out all these toxins, and that includes a lot of people, too, who are toxified. So that way their community can continue to progress from there.
Do you feel like most Black women are broken and bitter? And if so, give examples.
Let me be honest. Do I feel like most Black women are bitter and broken? I can only speak on the women who I've seen and dated and been around. Yeah. But I will say this. It's because they've allowed, and men too, because I already know the first thing that a broken or a bitter person is going to say, well, men do it too. And of course, yeah, it's all across the board, you know. But my thing is, what's the root of that bitterness? I've been around a lot of women and a lot of people. They're so fixated on the problem. Like they'll point out, Reggie, you did this wrong. You did that wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm gonna fix it. No, but you did that wrong. Okay, sweetie, dude, I already said I'm gonna fix it. Why are you still? Because that's all they're fixated on. Anybody who's a person who's fixated on problems, it's hard for them to find solutions. That's my take on it. You know, that's my honest take. Like if you're so fixated on problems all the time, it's very rare that you find solutions soon after or just in general. So for me, I realized that there are a lot of broken women and there's a lot of bitter women. And yeah, whatever that root of the problem is, they tend to avoid, whether it's purposely or not. And it continues to create more problems. I would rather men and women within our communities. And I'm tired of everybody saying we the only people that do this. We the only people that do that. No, we're not. You have to step outside of yourself and outside of your communities to see and do your own research and realize, no, there's every other group of people do the same thing. We're the only race of people that say that we're the only race in doing these particular things. You know, and that's what I'm like, dude, stop with that. Every other group of people do these things. I've seen white women, Indian women, Asian women, Hispanic women. I've seen them all put their man on child support. I've heard so many stories of it. I've seen them beat the mess out of their man, slash a man's tire, do all types of things that they try to put into the category of what Black women are the only ones that do. Same thing with the men as well. So at the end of the day, I feel like I'm speaking to our people now, our women. If there's a root to your problem, find it. Do everything in your power to abolish that problem, heal from it, and progress from there. Because I hate seeing our women, our queens being broken, being bitter. And I see it all the time where you got women who are in great relationships, but they're surrounded by bitter people. Bitter, whether it's elders, whether it be a parent, an aunt, a grandparent, grandmother, whether it be their best friends or their close friends. And they're surrounded by all this bitterness, and we all know in misery, and we all know the saying, misery loves company. So I don't want our women to be bitter. I want them to progress. And I see it all the time. Like there's even women who hit me up on social media. They go online and they're bashing men. Men ain't this, men ain't that. Look, I ain't trying to say bad things about men. And then they go out and say bad things about them. It's like they're doing that because they want other women to say, that's right, girl. And they want to get a following of a whole bunch of bitter women. And that's not good. I would rather, us as men acknowledge that we're part of the problem if we are, and let's find a way to fix it if we can, or if we're allowed to. But my thing is for the women and for the men out there in the African community, why would you try to find a solution in something that hurt you or led you to the state that you're in right now? You're focusing on the problem again. So step away from this problem completely, because you can, and find a solution. And everybody's always talking about, you need therapy, you need therapy. Yeah, but what type of therapy? Because you can't trust a lot of therapists as well. So my thing is to where I feel like there's always a will and a way to better yourself and to step away from the toxins and the trauma that led you, or that is leading you to your own demise of brokenness, misery, and bitterness. You don't deserve that. You deserve the best, and you should treat yourself accordingly. So for all those that's focused on problems and not focused on solutions, focus on that solution. Focus to the root of the problem. Find a solution for it if you can. Find a way that you're not busyness minded all the time, so that way you can, get to the center of why this particular incident keeps on reoccurring. And hopefully, these women will break away from that bitterness and misery and all these other things that they're connected to, that they're unfortunately connected to. So to answer your question, yeah, I feel like there are a lot of bitter and broken women in our community, but I do feel like they hold the keys to abolish that brokenness and that bitterness, only if they want to. I know they're strong enough and wise enough to, and I'm definitely pulling for them all.